So hi guys, welcome back to this channel. I hope you're having a lovely week or a weekend, whatever time it is for you. And thank you so much for tapping on this video. If you are new here, please do hit that subscribe button and the thumbs up so this video can be shared by the algorithm. And please do share it to anyone who you think will need to hear such a word. And if you are already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting my channel and just for being here. I have not posted in a while, but I'm trying to be a little bit more consistent with the posting. And so I will be coming back with some more videos once a week, probably. Okay, so let's get into it. So today we're going to be talking about growing and change in a gentle way, right? Because I've been on that self-help journey, that thing of like, oh, go quiet for 6 months and then you change whatnot. But I've not really been following them strictly. But like all the self-help videos makes you have that thing of like, you want to continuously keep like thriving and doing more, just to see yourself basically succeeding. Or I don't know what gives human beings that drive, but I feel like a lot of people have that thing, and you know what I'm talking about. Like, you just want to like change parts of your life, but sometimes it gets really difficult to like change certain parts of your life, especially when you are, and I will say, like, strong arming the way you want to change a certain point of your life, and you will get the point as we are going today. But yeah, we're going to talk about how to actually just love yourself through the process of changing and reviewing things that have happened in your life that you might not have been so happy about, or that you feel you need to change a certain behavior, but doing it in the way that, is best fit for us as Christians, right? So many times we want to hide our past hurts, things that we have done in our past, who we were, our fumbles, and especially those ones that came before you knew God. Do you know that trend where like people are like, "Oh, sorry about who I was before I met God, guys. That wasn't me." Like, guys, that is so true because hey, before Jesus, yo, AC. Oh, wait, no, BC. BC was kind of crazy, and like we've all adapted to certain behaviors or certain like habits maybe that were not for our now life. They're not fitted for our now life. That was just things you used to do, right? And you might not be happy about those things and you want to change them now that you're here in the present, right? But it doesn't help if you want to grow, but you're like hating parts of yourself, because that's not how it's supposed to work, right? Christ says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. And so that means you need to love yourself, because we are supposed to be serving our neighbors, caring for them. And so care for yourself as well, serve yourself as well. Do those things for yourself to show yourself that you love yourself. And so we can't have parts of ourselves that we like absolutely hate and then on other parts that we accept, right? So let's talk about First Peter 4, verse 1 to 2, right? It says, therefore, since Christ suffered in his body, arm yourselves also with the same attitude, because whoever suffers in the body is done with sin. As a result, they do not live the rest of their earthly lives for evil human desires, but rather for the will of God. So I feel like this verse is telling us there will be suffering, right? There will be things in your life that weren't so great, things in your past that weren't so, you might not want to talk about them. Sometimes you feel like certain things in your life were covered with shame, right? And so it says, don't take that shame, and make it your villain origin story. Now you're in your villain era. Basically, here it's telling us that once we have suffered, we can then shift our eyes towards God. Like, your eyes become open. Some people find Christ in the times when life was really dark, right? So, in this growing in a gentle way, I would say allow yourself to suffer in God's presence. Sometimes when we have like things in our lives that we feel ashamed about, we almost like hide them from God, even though we know He can see everything. We're kind of like, we don't want Him to see the specific thing that you are struggling with. Like, for instance, if you are an alcoholic, for an example, and you say to yourself, no, let me just drink this few, or God will understand, or maybe He doesn't see, or whatnot, or I'll repent after. And you know you were doing something wrong, but because you feel like you are so this behavior, this habit is just taking you, like you really don't know what to do and you're struggling with this thing, you kind of almost you turn your back to God so you can't see what you're doing. Like when you're a kid and you're like, the person's not going to be happy with what you're doing. So you turn and you're like trying to hide or whatnot. And so we end up forcing ourselves to suffer alone, to, constantly go through that cycle of getting into that sin cycle of leaving God out and trying to fix it ourselves. Like we want to go back to God once everything is okay and be like, oh no, look, like I'm fine now. Like that's not a problem anymore. Because of that shame, it makes us like try to shield ourselves from judgment in a way. But when we allow ourselves to suffer in God's presence, like you can go back to God and tell him XYZ happened and wasn't right. I'm not proud of it. And or this is something that hurts me or something that triggers a past pain. We like learn to, you get comforted. Like Christ will comfort you. Like look at the story of Elijah. When he was in the cave, he wasn't alone. Like if he had chosen to say, no, I'm going to fix this thing by myself, I will do this thing myself, he was going to be alone and he would have been more miserable. But because he went to God and he was like, this thing is making me feel this way, then the angel came with the cake and the drink and the blanket, and God was able to comfort him because God is looking to care for you. But he can't do that if you don't allow him in your space. Like we still have free will. God won't just force into your life and try to do things without you even saying anything. So once we allow ourselves to suffer in God's presence, we learn his purpose for our lives and we start to have our eyes opened to his character, and we start to almost deepen our relationship with God, right? And so this is the first point I would make. If you want to grow or to change something in your life and you are trying to do this in the proper way, the gentle way, instead of forcing yourself to change and stressing yourself out, you would first of all go to God and confess that thing, whatever is stressing you out, whatever is the problem or the past hurt or the thing, go to God and be like, can we do this together? Because your strength is not going to be enough. You won't be able to do it alone. So rather go to God and say, please hold my hand through this thing because He's going to show you what's right. Okay. And then point number two, continue to do good at all times. Allowing God to comfort you will help you still live your life in the better way. Like most of the time, people will be hurt by something and then they will put that pain on other people. Like, that saying of hurt people. Like, if you are trying to change and you like dislike certain parts of your life, you will find that most of the time you will judge other people, especially on those parts of their life. And so you will come off as like this bitter person because actually inside you have an insecurity or a pain that is triggered by what they are doing. And although you could, like, once God is done with you and you have had peace around that situation, you'll be able to help the person and say, hey, this was my testimony. I can help you with that thing. But while you are still in it, sometimes that shame will cause you to be mean to others and to judge others, even though you know you're in the same situation. And so this reminds us, like, be kind. Don't allow yourself to, be spilling your pain on all over other people. And so we have to normalize asking for help and asking for space where it's needed. You will feel so much more free after you will tell like people who are very close to you. So you don't feel like you're holding a secret from everyone. After you tell the people who are close to you, this is happening in my life and I need a little bit of space, or I can't do this right now. Going back to the example of being an alcoholic, if your friend's always inviting you outside to party and they're asking you to take shots, obviously you're gonna start getting, anxious, or you'll find yourself in that space where it's like, oh, I'm not okay, they don't understand me. But the reason why they don't understand what the issue is because you have not told them about that thing. And so if you're close to them, it's better for you to just say, no, I need help, or this is my situation right now. And you will feel way more freed knowing that there's other people who know and you're not trapped, because the enemy will always try to trap you and make you think you have to keep it a secret. And that's how you will start to fester that shame and bitterness inside your heart. So once it is out, you can be confident that this is my situation right now. Like it's not great, but at least I'm not forcing myself to look like something I'm not right now. And so when you need space, ask for it and allow God to take you through the healing. Don't try to hide or look like everything is fine when it's really not. You have to be transparent with God and be like, this is the situation. You have to allow yourself to be vulnerable, right? And so Galatians 6, verse 9 to 10 says, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers. And what this kind of talks to is like if you have a testimony and it's a rough one or it's something you wanted to keep secret, don't keep it secret when you see someone else needs to hear that testimony. Okay, like that is the second stage of like growing and changing. If you know you used to have a problem with alcohol, the example of this whole video, it seems, but if you know you used to have issue with it, when you see someone going through that, don't, be like, oh, I wonder why they're struggling with something like that, and then keep your testimony to yourself. I would never recommend that. No matter how embarrassing or how weird your testimony might seem, somebody needs it, right? You went through it for a reason and now you know how to get out of it. And so next time you see someone, just, go to that person and tell them your testimony, try to help them out. And so when you have an opportunity, do that good. Don't allow embarrassment, shame, fear to hold you back from doing good at all times. And then on that third point, we're looking at John 4, verse 34. And it says, my food, said Jesus, is to do the will of him who sent me and to finish his work. And what this talks to is most of the time when we are growing and changing, we start to question God's will for our lives. You get opportunities and you think, no, but because my past was like this, I'm not good enough to do this, or how can I do this? You get imposter syndrome. Yeah, they call it imposter syndrome. And you start to question what God is putting in your path. And sometimes you might even find yourself pushing that stuff away or self sabotaging because you think you're not good enough to do that thing just because of your past or something that you are struggling with now. And look, God was not looking for people who are perfect. Even if you go through the Bible, there are people who did great things. And it's not like they had everything sorted in their lives. They weren't fully kitted and ready to go. They were scared as well. They didn't know what to do. Sometimes they weren't even ready for what He called them for. God is waiting for you to be a vessel. And so when God says, hey, this is who you are, this is what's in your heart, this is my will for you, don't question it and don't run away from it. We have to be obedient and open to working as a vessel for God because He has the plans that are going to prosper us, not the ones that are going to harm us, right? And so I like to remember this verse and say, even if you're feeling imposter syndrome and whatnot, when you see that something is God's will in your life, you must remember my food, said Jesus. He said, my food. So that is his source of energy. He's recognizing God being, like more than bread, more than water. Like this is God. Like this is where you get your source of everything from, the sovereign Lord, right? And so he says, my food is to do the will of him who sent me and to finish his work. It's not for us to constantly question, why did God choose me? Because this happened and I'm not good enough. Mm-mm. You'd rather work on those problems separately and make sure that you are actually working through the will that He has given you instead of constantly questioning it. And so our work is to do that will. So don't fall into the habit, of thinking that the enemy is planning your life. Because sometimes we put a lot on the enemy. We like, the devil did this and he did this. And we forget that God is the one who has to sign off on everything because God is in control of it all. There's a reason why things are happening in your life. And we have to, realize that God is always watching. He's always holding your hand through it, no matter what it is. And so don't think the enemy is planning this stuff and this. Like, there's a reason why this is happening, and that might even change your perspective on life to look at it as, what is God trying to teach me? Instead of saying, oh, I'm being tested, I'm being trialed all over again, you should ask yourself, why am I going through this trial? What is God trying to show me? What is next? What do I have to learn to unlock the next thing that He has for me to do? Okay, but yes, so just to summarize, when we are trying to grow and to change in a gentle way, we must be, first of all, willing to love ourselves as God does. God doesn't look at you and think, oh, nice apple, but there's some mold spots or whatnot. God doesn't look at you like that. God loves us, and He loves us unconditionally, meaning there's nothing that will stop us or that will stop Him from loving us. There's nothing that we have done to even earn that love. And so there's nothing that we can do to make Him take that love away. We are His children. And so when we are growing and we are trying to change past a certain point of our lives, we should not be looking at it as, that rough type of self-help where you're constantly criticizing yourself and constantly trying to nitpick and take out parts of your personality. Sometimes things happen the way that they happened, or you did certain things or learned certain things because that's what God wanted you to learn in the path, right? And sometimes it's not that. Maybe it was just you doing your own thing. But even when you are trying to change, you should not be patronizing yourself and putting shame on yourself just because of your past, right? And so make sure that you're in God's presence. Make sure that you are allowing Him into the situation, that you're allowing Him to lead you, and you're allowing Him to comfort you, right? You don't have to be overly independent in every situation, even when you know you're having a hard time, right? And then the second point we looked at as, make sure that you're not finding yourself in a place where you're so feeling so shameful and whatnot, that you are putting your bitterness or your hurt on other people. Make sure that you are willing to share your testimony when it is needed, no matter how embarrassing or shy you might feel for that thing. And in the third, do God's will. See where it goes. If He's calling you somewhere, go there. That's where the plan is. That's what you're meant to be doing right now. Don't question it. Don't ask yourself, why you? Why you? God is not looking for you to do things on your own strength. He is looking for you to trust His strength, that His strength working through you, His power that He has put in you is enough, right? That is what we need to trust, not our own strength, right? God will qualify the unqualified. He literally will. So you can go in circles thinking, how did I get this spot? How did I get this promotion? How did I end up here? Don't do that. Do the work. Do the work. Because if you get to that, you'll realize that you didn't do nothing that would get you into this. There are people in your situation who did not even get those opportunities. But God looked at you and said, this is something that fits into your purpose. This is your will, your path that you're working in. And so trust what He is putting in your life. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please do go check out more videos in the Jesus Journey messages. There are more words there, and you might find something that you like. Hopefully you like this one. Please do comment down below, your thoughts on this and your journey. Maybe we can, pray together, support each other down in the comments, right? Thank you so much for watching. Please do subscribe and check out more. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead, or a wonderful day or weekend. Bye bye.